Well, a very good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today for a webinar I know you will find interesting and informative. My name is Sandy Elson, and on behalf of the travel professional community and homebasedtravelagent.com, I welcome all of you and thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. We are so happy to welcome our host today, Gifted Travel Network. Our speakers are Gifted Travel Network founders, Meredith Hill and Vanessa McGovern. Meredith and Vanessa will be talking about the 10 things successful travel business owners do. Meredith and Vanessa will tell us how to transition your travel business from hobbyist mode to a thriving business. A little background on our speakers. After years of running her own successful travel business, Meredith Hill founded the Global Institute for Travel Entrepreneurs, or GIFT, in 2011 to help other travel professionals discover the path to success. GIFT's coaching and training programs have helped hundreds of travel professionals identify their brilliance, define their niche, and implement successful business strategies so that they can make more money selling travel. As it became apparent that many agents were struggling to find a host agency that truly supported the niche model that GIFT teaches, Meredith teamed up with Vanessa McGovern and Jennifer Cochran to found Gifted Travel Network in 2013. Vanessa McGovern, who has previously been recognized as one of the top 30 under 30 travel professionals by Travel Agent magazine, joined GIFT as Vice President of Business Development and Strategic Partnerships in 2012. In 2013, Vanessa founded Gifted Travel Network with Meredith Hill and Jennifer Cochran. Today, she proudly serves as Executive Vice President and co-owner of Gifted Travel Network, now one of the fastest growing host agencies whose mission is to support entrepreneurial spirited travel professionals. Before we get started, please remember that you are all muted, but if you have questions for our speakers, you can type them in at any time in the question area on the right-hand side of your screen. At the end of the presentation, we will get to as many questions as we can. Also at the end of the presentation, Meredith and Vanessa will be giving away a $50 gift card to one lucky travel agent who has attended this entire webinar. More about the giveaway later, but just a hint, you may want to take some notes. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to Meredith and Vanessa so they can get started. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you so much, Sandy. We're so happy to be here, and thank you to your entire community for welcoming us to this webinar. So my voice is Vanessa, Vanessa McGovern, and next to me, as Sandy mentioned, the two of us, Meredith Hill, will be co-hosting this webinar together, and we are in the beautiful state of North Carolina today. I say today because we do travel, but we are based in Mooresville, North Carolina. We jokingly say the hub of the travel industry. And so we are very much looking forward to digging in to the content we've prepared for all of you, the 10 things successful travel business owners do. So as our bio stated, and I'll say very briefly, one of the reasons why we're able to share this content and how we've been able to aggregate this content is through our engagement through both companies, but primarily through the company that Meredith Hill founded, which is the Global Institute for Travel Entrepreneurs. And many people know us in the travel industry through GIFT, and that's the acronym for the Global Institute for Travel Entrepreneurs. And they may or may not know that as a demand from and request, I should say, from our many members at GIFT and saying, you know, you're teaching us about personal branding, you're teaching us about all these business strategies, we're not really sure the best host for us, you know, who do you recommend? And so many of our clients would say to us through our business coaching company, you know, why don't you start a host agency? And so 3 years ago, we thought, you know what, we would like to consider that. And we did so, and it's been an amazing ride, and we're very grateful for the support of our clients that have supported the growth of GIFT and for the community that we've built. And so through our business coaching, we've really been able to aggregate these 10 successful 10 tips really that successful travel business owners do. And we were always saying through GIFT that it was just becoming very obvious through coaching so many different travel professionals that Meredith is famous for saying that we felt that there were some missing chapters in travel agent training programs. That there are too many travel agents out there, you know, struggling and not really thriving. They're more surviving as opposed to thriving. And there is just so much opportunity in our industry today. And that is something that you'll hear Meredith and I say all the time. There's truly never been a better time to sell travel. The opportunities in our industry are endless, and there are too many travel professionals out there that are still following an old formula. And we live in a digital age, and there's a new formula for selling travel, and there's new ways to look at how you should be successful as a travel business owner, and as I like to say, in the digital age. And it's not all about online presence, it's a fusion of the two, both online and offline, but hopefully these strategies are going to be able to really give you a good framework and a foundation for what you need to really be considering in order to have not just a little success in our industry, but wild amounts of success in this industry, because truly anything is possible in our industry, and we truly work in the most amazing industry in the world. So on that note, let's start digging into some of this content. You know, through our engagement, as I said, we uncovered that there's some major problems, if you will, in our industry, and that we do face. And Meredith is going to dive into that just a little bit more to sort of establish the context for, we're sorry, we had some technical issues with the PowerPoint, so you're probably going to see some little email messages from Meredith pop up, but you know, we're just going to, that's the way it is, right? We got to go with the flow, so you'll be able to read that. So that's what that is, so we apologize for that. But so Meredith is going to share with us a problem that we face in general in the industry as a profession, because it's going to set the stage for the 10 things that travel business owners do. Because for a long time now, we've been focused on the problem, and we want to help you shift into focusing in on the solution.
Yeah.
So Meredith?
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, and I am very excited to be speaking to all of you today. I really, really hope that there are some brand new ears on the phone. I was about to say faces, but we're not in a room together. But some brand new people, because that is something that is part of our mission, is to promote GTN as well as the education that we teach at Gift to everybody out there trying to make a living selling travel. So thank you for having us. And just to jump into it, I started selling travel probably about 15 years ago. And when I made the decision to leave my corporate career and leave it all, right, leave the money, leave the benefits, leave the employee, you know, all the perks of being an employee and having a full-time job, to pursue my own entrepreneurial career selling travel, one of the first things I did was research, how do I do this? How do I become a travel agent? Where's the best training program possible? What kind of education can I get to do this right? And I really came up short, and I searched and searched, and I highly value education, and as I know probably a lot of you do too, I was willing to invest in an excellent program, and I was willing to invest a lot of money if I could find an excellent program, but I didn't. I couldn't find a program. And so what happened is I spent the next 6 years really floundering and not making any money and having a very big, expensive hobby. So the problem that I truly believe at the root of all of this survival mode travel business owners is that there is no cohesive, comprehensive, relevant travel agent training program out there. So what do we mean by these words? Cohesive. Well, obviously cohesive, we mean all in one place. Comprehensive, there is no travel agent training program that is teaching you how to sell travel and how to be a business owner, how to be an entrepreneur, how to be a CFO, how to budget, how to plan, so many different things beyond the act of selling travel. How to market as well. That all goes into the comprehensiveness of it. And then the last one, relevant. And relevant meaning how to be a travel expert, not a travel agent, because quite honestly, the travel agent is non-existent, and it became extinct thanks to the online booking engines. That business model doesn't work, and it's broken, and if you're trying to pursue that business model, it's broken, so that's why you're frustrated. Really what you need to be doing is
hamster on a wheel.
Hamster on a wheel, exactly. you need to be establishing yourself as a travel expert. So there was no travel agent training program out there that was all in one place that taught me how to sell travel and be a business owner all at the same time, but also how to establish myself as an expert, not a travel agent. So what happens at the root of this problem, or because of this rooted problem, is we have an enormous amount of what I call accidental hobbyists in the industry. Sorry, I couldn't tell if I had a slide that said that.
And they don't want to be hobbyists.
They don't want to be hobbyists.
That's why we say accidental.
That's why we say accidental. And what I mean by that is you're either making money or you're not. And if your business is not making money, it's not a business, it's a hobby. And I sat in that place for over 6 years. And so I can understand how frustrating it is. Like Vanessa said, I didn't want to be a hobbyist. I wanted to make money. I wanted to have a thriving business. But because I really had no good fundamental training program to guide me and set me off and launch me into this excellent opportunity to make great money, I didn't. And I had this big, giant hobby, expensive hobby. So that brings us to the 10 successful things travel business owners do. So based upon what we have been teaching for the last 5 years and what I learned on my own journey as a seller of travel, we've aggregated and kind of broken them down into 10 very specific things. And if you are doing them, you're going to have a successful business. So
all right.
Here we go. Number 1 is set up a separate legal entity for your business. I can't tell you how many times people don't do this and then they start commingling funds. But this is where you need to be putting on your big girl panties or your big boy underpants and
think like a business owner.
And think like a business owner and act like a business owner. If you want a business and you want to make money, you need to act like a business owner, even if you're not making money yet. You shouldn't be commingling funds. You should have a separate legal entity that's going to protect you. And once you have a separate legal entity, you should have a new bank account that's just for the business. And, you know, it's kind of a minor thing that goes along with this, but you should absolutely have an email address that is your first name or something like that at yourbusinessurl.com, not, you know, your business name at gmail.com or at yahoo.com. That goes hand in hand with number 1. You want people to take you seriously, so you need to take yourself seriously first. Okay, that was quick. Number 2 is really, this is where I was talking about putting on your CFO hat, your Chief Financial Officer hat. You have to be willing to look at your numbers. I stuck my head in the sand for 6 years. I didn't want to look at them because I was afraid to, because I knew I wasn't making money, so I thought it's just going to be painful to look at this. But you have to be willing to budget and set your financial goals and track them. And it's really not as hard or complicated as it seems. Ironically, the great career that I left to start my travel business was as a financial analyst. So I knew how to do this. I just stopped doing it once I became an entrepreneur and had my own business. So I had to go back to those skills and use them. But you don't need to have been a financial analyst to be able to do this well and effectively. It can be as simple as reverse engineering it. And when I say reverse engineer, what I really mean is figure out what your expenses are for a year. What does it cost you to run your business, to stay in business? Put all of those numbers together, all of those, including your travel expenses, including your marketing expenses, even if you want to hire an assistant, put everything in there, and then decide what you want to pay yourself. So add that to your annual expenses. Let's just say your annual expenses are that's high. Let's say your annual expenses, because you work from home, are $25,000 and you want to pay yourself $50,000 for the year. Your grand total between those two is $75,000. The way you set your financial goal is to say, okay, I want to make $75,000 next year. How do I do that? So you just work it backwards. If I want to make $75,000 and I'm making 10% in commission on my commissionable sales, then I need to be selling $750,000 in travel sales. What did you sell last year? How does that compare? Is it realistic to think you can go from selling $200,000 one year to selling $750,000 the next year? It may or may not be.
It will be if you focus on groups.
True. You could add 2 groups, 3 groups, and you'd be there quickly. But anyway, so that's how you do it, is you reverse engineer it, you set your financial goal, figure out what you want to make, figure out how much you need to sell, and then track it, throughout the year. Have your own little financial planning meeting where you look at your numbers and you track where you are relative to the goals that you set for yourself. I promise you, the year I decided to do this was the turning point for my business. We finally decided to sit down and figure this out and look at our numbers, take our head out of the sand. And when we did, we set these goals. By the end of that year, we had exceeded them, and they were very lofty goals. And it was a huge turning point. And the reason why it's effective is because what you focus on expands.
Now, further to your discussion here about budgeting and forecasting and looking at your numbers and taking your head out of the sand, one of the things we know successful travel business owners do is that they are not afraid to make difficult business decisions when it comes to their numbers. Like, for example, when we've done this exercise with several travel professionals, both on our host side, GTN, and with some people who are considering GTN, they'll come to us and say, okay, like, for example, I recently talked to a travel professional that's selling $900,000 in sales a year on her own. And she was crying to me because she's so exhausted because she's doing it on her own and she needs an assistant. But when we ran her numbers, she's with a host that's and that has her on a 70-30 commission split. Of course, she didn't even want to she was so feeling like, I don't even know why I'm talking to you. I love my host. The people are amazing. They've been so good to me. But when
programs are great.
But when she ran the numbers, she paid her host $55,000 in the commission share, and she didn't realize that until she ran her numbers. And that is the money that she could be using to pay an assistant and, quite frankly, free her up to do what matters, which is spend time with her family and actually do the things that afford her the freedom of why she chose entrepreneurship in the first place. But oftentimes, business owners, not the successful ones, will allow their loyalty to a default. It's good to be loyal, but not at the expense of $55,000 when you can't spend time with your children because you need an assistant.
And there were options for her to move to a 90-10 or even a 100% commission split where her host agency expense would have been $5,000 instead of $55,000. So yes, she could have put $50,000 either back in her own pocket, or she could have used that $50,000 to pay for a full-time assistant.
Right. And maybe you're not at $900,000, you're listening in on the webinar, but these are the things to think about as you project out the next couple of years. You want to be selecting a host where you can grow into a better commission split.
Exactly. Okay, next one, number 3.
Your favorite.
My favorite. Pick a specialty, stick to it. And then once you have your specialty, you've also got to figure out your ideal prospects. So on the education side at Gift, so our sister company, this is one of the core foundational things that I teach. And we've heard everybody in this industry talk about, yes, you need to specialize, specialize, specialize. But the way to specialize, it can be, people have their own theories on how to specialize. Most of the time, the people with the theory on how to specialize don't know what they're talking about because they haven't sold travel themselves. So, and I sold travel very successfully for 10 years. And so just hear me out when I say pick a specialty. This is how you specialize. You specialize by, number 1, you have to become an expert at something, right? First of all, experts make more money. That's why specializing is so important. But number 2, there's a demand for travel expertise, and there's not a lot of supply of travel expertise. That's where you're valuable. There's an enormous demand amongst travelers for travel expertise. Just look at the traffic that TripAdvisor gets on a daily basis.
One of the most well-trafficked sites out there.
It is one of the, most trafficked travel sites out there, for sure. So there's a demand for travel expertise. There's not a lot of supply of it. So that's where your opportunity is. Now I've sold you on the fact that you need to pick a specialty. This is how you do it. You start with, what is it that you want to specialize in? Well, you should build your business from the inside out. And so if you're going to do that, I teach people to start with or figure out what their brilliance is. You probably have a passion for travel, or else you wouldn't be selling travel.
That's a good assumption.
We all
share
that passion. We have a kinship in our passion for travel, all of us in this industry. So believe it or not, your brilliance, that's a hint to what your brilliance is. Every single person on this planet has a brilliance, has a gift. And your job is to figure out what it is and then share it with people, because you didn't come on this earth to hoard your gift. You came here to be of service to other people using your gift. So that's how your specialty begins, is figure out what your brilliance is. And then once you know what it is, figure out who needs it, because not everybody needs your brilliance. If everybody on this planet needed your brilliance, you'd be a very exhausted person. So figure out who needs your brilliance most, and then come up with wording that articulates the benefits of your brilliance to those who need it. And that's what I call a core compelling message. It's really those 3 steps. Number 1, identify your brilliance. Number 2, figure out who needs it. And number 3, come up with the wording that articulates the benefits and solutions of your brilliance. So let me give you a very quick example. We have a mother and daughter team who love family travel. They started out doing Disney, but we helped them. They came to us Disney only, and we helped them with this thing, number 3, pick a specialty. But we didn't just help them pick a specialty. We dug deep, figured out what their brilliance was, figured out who needed it most, and came up with what I call a core compelling message. And that is the foundation to your brand, is your core compelling message. So, long story short, their brilliance was knowing how to deepen the family bond through travel. It's that simple. Deepening the family bond through travel. So that became their message. That was their specialty. So it wasn't necessarily family travel or Disney. A lot of people will default to a product type.
Sandals expert,
cruise expert. But picking a specialty is really should end in a core compelling message that is rooted in your brilliance, those who need it, and the benefits that it provides to those people. So one quick example in addition to this is like a romance travel expert. Let's just say you love to sell sandals, and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to specialize in sandals. No, you're not done. You're not even close to done. Figure out what your brilliance is. If you love to sell sandals, it probably has to do with knowing how to keep the love alive or make people feel more in love again through travel, but something to that effect. And then obviously the people who need it are people who are in marriage relationships or intimate relationships.
And I just actually had a call with somebody who was calling about a strategy call on the gift side just now before this call, and she's just starting out, totally new. Meredith doesn't know the story, so she's looking at me like, where are you going with this, Vanessa? We have to hurry up here. But I want to say this because I think it's really important. And she's totally new. She doesn't even know the first place to start. So I started asking her, well, what was your background? She was a teacher and then a principal. And then I said, okay, what were your subjects? What did you like to do? And she started saying how she really likes to educate, help the teachers and educators or whatever. So I started sharing with her about how a lot of professions will do their continuing education at resorts or at sea, and what if your specialty is to help to create an education travel company that helps professions take their education on the road or whatever. So it's not at like some rinky-dink hotel, but at a resort or cruise. And she loved that idea. And so it could be as simple as just figuring out, what did you do in a previous profession, and what are the things you love? What are the books that you read? Like, we have somebody that makes history come alive through travel because she loves history. Right. So it's not like river cruising is her niche or Germany is her niche. It's history, making history come alive
through travel.
So some other examples.
But they will she ends up planning river cruises for people because that's how history comes alive. But
Yep.
So it's not product-based. It's got to be benefits and solutions-based, and it's got to be
different.
Yeah, very much so.
And there's a river cruise image.
There's a river cruise image. All right, so we kind of ran through 3 and 4 all in one. So that's the next step is once you pick the specialty, you've got to develop a core compelling message that goes along with it. Okay, so moving on. We're almost halfway there. So basically, numbers 3 and 4 are really your brand. Picking your specialty and then coming up with that core compelling message, deepening the family bond through travel, keeping the romance alive through romantic travel, or and there's so many other things too. But those 2 things become your brand. And then once you have the words for your brand, you want to then go take that to a great graphic designer to come up with a logo, and then that gets sprinkled all over your marketing foundation. That should be all over your website. It should just ooze it with every single thing that you bring out that has your brand on it should ooze that message. Hopefully that's clear.
And successful travel business owners do not, under any circumstances, in any scenario, DIY their graphics.
Absolutely.
They hire a professional.
I want to give you, go to www.hillsofafricatravel.com, which is my former travel business. It's still alive and well by my former business partner, Sandy Sell. She's taken the business to a whole new level. And you will see just visually how good the brand is. And it's all because I followed those steps. We picked a specialty, and then we came up with a core compelling message around it. Okay. So number 5 is, now that you have your brand and it's sprinkled all over your core foundation, now you get to market. And I think a lot of people jump to this step and they skip steps 3 and 4. The specialty and the core compelling message. And then they end up doing all kinds of shotgun marketing. Like, let me try this marketing.
Let me just join that BNI group.
Let me join the BNI group. Oh, I get a speaking, they're asking me to speak here. Or someone calls you up and says, I have a magazine placement, advertising placement, and it's going to be $1,200 for the year. Would you like to do it? You're kind of like, I don't know.
Bridal show.
Or bridal, exactly. So you end up doing all the shotgun marketing, then you come back and you're like, none of this marketing works. Well, the reason why it doesn't work is because you skip steps 3 and 4. So very important, don't skip those steps. And then once you've done those steps, now you can move into setting up your marketing systems to continuously list build. Okay, so we're going to go through 2 different types of marketing systems that you must have in place, which is that's going to be 5. Thing number 5 and thing number 6. I'm trying to remember what we called these. Successful thing number 5 is marketing systems for list building. I want you to hear this and pay attention. This is a very important statement I'm going to make.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
The number 1 blind spot, marketing blind spot for travel agency owners is list building. Why? Because you join a host agency that's a part of a consortia, or maybe you join a franchise that's got all these fancy schmancy marketing programs that look amazing, and they're like, you don't have to worry about the marketing. We do all the marketing for you. And you've got this, piddly little list of 80 contacts, and you put them in, and these people keep getting your stuff, but you're not building your list. So marketing needs to have 2 different missions. Your marketing, you need marketing systems to build your list, and you need marketing systems to build relationships with your list, which we'll get to in a second. So list building systems is so important. So what is list building? It just means doing something that results in getting a name and email address added to your database of an ideal prospect. It doesn't really count if that new name and email address is someone that would never, ever do the kind of travel that you offer. So they'd never value your service. So it's an ideal prospect. So what are list building systems? Common list building systems are doing a bridal show, doing a consumer trade show, doing speaking, Facebook ads. So there's online and there's offline list building systems.
We can typically determine the health and success of a travel business right away. One of the first questions we ask clients if we're coaching them is, how big is your email list? Or do you have your emails, your clients aggregated in what we call an autoresponder system, like a MailChimp or a Constant Contact or something other than your, typical travel industry CRM, where you're communicating with them regularly, which we'll talk about now in a second, because the strength of your email list can literally determine the success of your business. It is the lifeblood of your business. And, I asked a bunch of agents the other month, share your best practices for having, best tip for being a successful business owner in one of our Facebook groups. And I found it fascinating that out of the, so many responses, over 50 responses, and the focus was all on customer service. Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome, but if you don't have customers to sell to, it doesn't matter. Barely anybody talked about or gave any information on how to actually grow your list and get clients.
Excellent. Okay. So number 6 is also about marketing systems. So this is the second type of marketing systems you need to put in place, and that's those that nurture relationships with clients. I am going to talk about the number 1 most effective way to do this, and then I'm going to have Vanessa talk about some other ways to do this as well. So the number 1 most effective way to do this is what we call the weekly electronic newsletter. And the biggest objections we get to this marketing vehicle or marketing system is, I don't want to pester my clients every single week, or I don't have time to write something like this every single week. And I will tell you, I don't really care.
Well, be nice about it. And Meredith says that with love, because you don't have time not to.
Exactly.
This is the lifeblood of your business, nurturing your relationships. This is number 1 priority. So don't go and watch that other product-related webinar that you may or may not have clients for 60 minutes on Friday at 2 from whatever association. Instead, do this.
So the reason why this is so effective is because I like to equate it to your virtual storefront. A lot of people look at this marketing system in the wrong way, and they look at it in a direct results way. I'm going to send this out every single week, and so then I'm going to get X amount of inquiries every time I send it out. That's the wrong way to look at it. The way to look at this is to look at it as if it's your virtual storefront. So let's think about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when travel agencies were still mostly brick and mortar on Main Street, what would happen is people would drive into town at least once a week, sometimes daily, and they would visit, most of the store or some of the stores, and you go to the post office, you go to the drugstore, you go to the grocery store. But passing through Main Street would be, you'd see the travel agency. Did they go into the travel agency every single time they went into town? No, but they would walk by, they'd see the sign on the door that posted the hours, and it would be that constant reinforcement that we have a travel agency in town, they're a real business because they have hours posted on the door, they have people sitting at desks, and so they are going to be top of mind when I do plan my next vacation. And that's what the weekly electronic newsletter does. It is what keeps you top of mind, and not only that, is it builds something super important, which is called know, like, and trust, because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So we have a formula that we teach on the education side at Gift that takes you through the process of follow this template for your weekly electronic newsletter, and it will be effective. And if people take themselves off your list, they're doing you a favor, and those that stay on your list are going to love you, because this is how you will build a relationship with them over time.
So don't worry if they don't open it. It's not about that.
Exactly.
They might not open it every single week. It's okay. So the other way to nurture a relationship with clients is through social media. And if we're connected on Facebook, if we're not connected on Facebook, if we're not friends on Facebook, go ahead and friend me, Vanessa McGovern. I can't remember what my headshot is now. I change it up pretty constantly, but you'll see it there. I think it's just me now. Friend me. I'd love to connect with you. And you shouldn't be scared to friend your clients on Facebook either. I know that some of you are rolling your eyes right now at me in front of your computer and saying, no way, Jose, I don't like to do that. I like to keep my personal, my business separate. I will tell you, in our experience with coaching and working with hundreds of successful travel business owners, they understand that they're business owners, and in today's digital age, as entrepreneurs, there's very little separation between your personal and your professional. And your clients want to know you, and your clients want to know that you care about them other than just booking a sale on travel. So if you're connected with your clients, maybe you just saw on Facebook that their daughter just graduated from high school, and you can comment and you can like it, or you could even send them a handwritten note to say, hey Judy, I saw on Facebook that Lisa graduated. I'm so excited for her next chapter at UNC. Love being on Facebook with you. Talk to you soon, Vanessa. I'm like, and I'm not saying to ever replace the online, and I just said it there, take it offline, write a nice handwritten note. But now you have a reason to write that handwritten note because you know more about your client. So if you're still in the mindset that social media is a time suck and is a distraction, we have to get you to shift that mindset, because successful travel business owners embrace the social digital world, use it to their advantage. Is it a time suck? Sure, if you let it. But if you manage it and you yield it for good, if you will, you can really deepen the relationship with your client.
Absolutely.
All right, and we got to keep
it going. But the last thing I want to say about this is those really awesome marketing programs that are provided by your consortia or your host.
Oh, right, like pre-populated posts.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily on the social media side, just the email marketing stuff or the direct mail stuff. Those are excellent. And use them. But you can't rely on them alone. You can't use them and think my marketing is done. You have to supplement those with steps 5 and 6.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, good one. Go ahead, Vanessa.
So sell what they know. So successful travel business owners, this is obviously a given. They sell what they know and they stick to it. But here's the caveat. We teach what's called an 80-20 rule. And so when travel agents, successful business owners sell what they know, they deepen their knowledge. They're very guarded with their time about it. But successful business owners don't spend so much time sinking into their product knowledge, maybe more time building the relationships with the general manager of the resort that we're looking at there. And they are able to manage their time. Too often, travel business owners, we get sucked into product knowledge education a little too deeply, and it's actually to our detriment, because I've come across many travel business owners that are 2 or 3 years into the business, and they have every certification, they've attended every webinar, they've gone on tons of FAMs, but they have very little sales to show for it. Don't let that be you. You have to follow our 80-20 rule, and that is 20% of your time, if you're going to have a successful travel business, 20% of your time should be spent in product knowledge. So going on a FAM, building a relationship, going to conferences that are relevant to your specialty, attending webinars that are relevant to your specialty, but that is only 20% of your time, and you stick to that, and you sell what you know and what you've dedicated that 20% of your time to. The other 80%, the 80% of your time is spent in client attraction.
Education.
And client attraction, education, and execution.
And execution.
Right? So 80% of your time should be spent trying to get clients, how to list build, doing your Facebook ads, doing a consumer show, the follow-up for the bridal show, calling, building joint ventures, going after groups. 80% of your time should be spent in marketing and marketing education. That's really important to delineate. And successful business owners, they sell what they know, but they don't overdo it, and they do excellent time management, and they just stick to what they know, and they only do 20% of their time.
Exactly.
All right.
All right.
Next is, oh, well, this should be a given, right? Successful business owners will always over-deliver on service. And well, what, as a travel business owner yourself, Meredith, why don't we give a few examples?
I always felt like this was my place to shine over the online booking engines, right? Because the online booking engines can give you a quote very quickly, and they might be able to give you the cheapest quote out there. But an online booking engine can't prepare the client for travel. So once you take deposit, there's a window of time there where you can absolutely wow your client. So between deposit and travel, you can prepare your client with all kinds of information about where they're going, what they need to know, what they need to do, all kinds of tips, and you can deliver this information very, very slowly. So that's one thing I did is obviously all my clients are going to Africa, and that's a big often first-time destination, first-time trip, right? Most people had never been there before, so they needed a lot of preparation. So what we did is instead of just dump them with, you know, a phone book size heaviness of information, we sprinkled it to them once a week over 10 weeks before they were actually traveling. And each week it was one more thing they needed to know, one more thing they needed to know, one more thing they needed to know. So that's one way we over-delivered on service. Another way is we always reached out to the hotels in the itinerary and asked for any kind of special amenities. Even if we were virtuoso for a while, we got a lot of amenities, but we still looked out for our clients, and we would actually CC the client on the email that we sent to the general manager so the client knew that we were doing this for them.
And even after, imagine you sent them,
after.
Imagine you sent them on their honeymoon, and again, you're friends with them on Facebook, and you found this beautiful picture that they posted while they were on their honeymoon. You save it, print it, put it in a frame that you can order on Amazon from like Jamaica or whatever, and send it to them with a card to say, I hope you don't mind, I saw this picture on your Facebook feed and I just had to have it printed and framed for you. It's so beautiful. It was such a pleasure to work with you on your honeymoon.
Absolutely.
All right, next.
Number 9. Think like a business owner. So really what I mean when I say think like a business owner is they don't think like employees. And I see a lot of people falling into this mistake because they come into their travel business from an employee environment where they've been an employee. So thinking like a business owner is realizing that you're in charge and you've got the steering wheel instead of looking at your clients sometimes as your boss, or maybe looking at your host agency or franchise as your boss. They're not your boss.
You're the boss.
You are the boss. And another example of thinking like a business owner is making decisions before you feel financially ready to make them, and making decisions quickly. So every single time I've hired in my business, both the travel business and now the Institute and the host agency, every time I've made a hiring decision, I have not felt like I could afford it.
How many times, I wish I had $1 for every time somebody said to you, but Meredith, I would love to hire a social media marketing assistant, but I just can't afford it.
What happens is when you make decisions like as a business owner would make, it's kind of like you can't afford not to sometimes, because the business will come when you let go of all these things that you don't need to be doing, and it's expensive that you're doing them. Yes, I've had people tell me that all the time, but like I said, every time I've made a hiring decision, my business has grown by leaps and bounds, and so it's grown enough to be able to afford the new addition to the team.
And lastly,
number 10 is get expert advice. So what we always like to say with this one is you don't need to do this alone. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. There are thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs making a living selling travel. So get expert advice. Be willing to ask an expert. Don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel. And some of the most successful people, not only in travel, but in general, most successful people in our country, they've become successful because they go find somebody else who's done it and they model them.
And they're willing to pay for it.
Yes, absolutely. So find a mentor, find a community of people that are willing to share and help. and continue to ask for advice. Okay, so now that we've shared those 10 things with you, hopefully you got something good out of it. We'd like just a few minutes to tell you about our training program at Gifted Travel Network, the one that we're incredibly proud of. And it took us a very long time to put it together because, like I said, when I first started selling travel, I would have paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for a training program like this. And it was definitely a huge mission of mine for many years to actually put it together. So how can you master all 10 of these things? Well, we put them into our training program. So our training program is called the Travel MBA program. If you want to learn more, just go to getyourtravelmba.com, and we're going to run through it a little bit here. It is the only comprehensive travel agent training program out there. It is designed for people who are brand new, but it's also designed for people who fall into the accidental hobbyist definition, meaning you've been selling travel maybe for 2-3 years, 4, even possibly 5 years, but you're not making any money. That's what I call an accidental hobbyist. And the reason why you're not making money is because you missed some chapters in your travel agent training program. It is the most up-to-date and relevant travel agent training program out there.
Yes, I was very upset the other day when we hosted a supplier webinar, and one of the ideas that they had for growing your business was the phone book. And I said, I'm sorry, you need to replace phone book with Facebook. And unfortunately, that is the case for a lot of travel agent training programs out there, especially that are powered by suppliers. Well, guess it's not the supplier's job to get you clients. It's the supplier's job to educate you on their product. Absolutely. So if you're looking to actually grow your business and make money selling travel, the secret does not lie in supplier-driven webinars. The secret lies in your ability to attract your ideal clients. Absolutely. And you don't know what your ideal clients are until you do what Meredith said, which is identify your brilliance and get clear on your message, and then you know who you need to be of service to, aka your ideal clients. And from there, you can determine which supplier webinars you need to attend and which supplier webinars are a distraction. And believe me, if you suffer from shiny object syndrome, this is the worst industry to work in because there are shiny object syndrome objects everywhere we turn in our amazing industry. I mean, who doesn't want to work in our industry?
Exactly why a good travel agent training program is going to keep you on path. So our program is a real fusion of both fixed and dynamic parts. So in terms of fixed parts, we have a course curriculum, which is 13 modules that'll take you through all of those different things that we talked about now and those 10 things successful business owners do. In addition, you have mentoring with me with a monthly Q&A call with me. You have mentoring with me in terms of I will help you nail your niche, pick your specialty, come up with that core compelling message. And then you have mentoring with a very, very experienced 25-year travel agent who
is very much in line with what we teach.
Much in line with what we teach. So, you know, when you start booking, you know, you have a million questions on just the booking process, and she's there for you to hold your hand. She also does monthly coaching calls with you to make sure that you're on path. Obviously, you'll get your travel agency credentials because you will be hosted with Gifted Travel Network. But I think a huge asset to this program that's hard to articulate is the tribe, the community. So when you join our travel agent training program, you benefit from the community of those in the travel agent training program, but also those part of our network and everyone that's a member of GIFT, because the Institute membership comes with your travel agent training program. So you get 3 different tribes, basically.
GTN was truly founded on community.
On community, yeah. Yeah, we really attract people who are business-minded, who want this to be a business, not a hobby.
And who are also, I like to say, heart-centered, because everybody is super helpful and very supportive of one another.
And just to kind of validate that our modules cover all 10 of those things that successful travel business owners do. These are what the modules are about. So modules 1 through 3 go through the business startup, understanding the travel industry, the whole financial planning piece, Modules 4, 5, and 6 are all about your message and the marketing tools and some simple client attraction strategies to get you started. So that's really your marketing silo. And then we dive deep into how to actually sell travel. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is in Module 7, we give you a very good framework for how to over-deliver on your service promise. Because I think one of the biggest questions I see, both in the gift community and in GTN community, is like, what are your standards for service? Like, what is kind of a rule of thumb for how I should be delivering service? So we give you that. Obviously, we show you how to book cruises, land, air, insurance. And then modules 12 and 13 are all about how to think and act like an entrepreneur. So that's the fixed part of the program. And then we have the dynamic part of the program with every single month, our travel agent mentor comes up with a new live classroom topic and teaches just based upon things that are coming up. And so that's constantly being added to your portal.
We like to stay very relevant with the live class, and we like to do it based on the needs of our travel MBAers and what we feel could be a service. And it's often actually your mentor isn't the one teaching it. She'll source an expert. So for example, a couple months ago, one that was just met with rave reviews was we had a member of our gift community actually share her trade show success secrets. So she shared a very specific strategy for how to exhibit at a consumer event, the best way to set up your booth, and then what your email follow-up sequence should say, even as far out as 6 months. And then the month after that, she did we did somebody that did a whole Facebook ads. It turned into actually 90 minutes, so she went way over, but it was super, super juicy, and it was a very good deep dive into actual how to use Power Editor in the back end of Facebook. But we've also had even basic ones about just groups. I will tell you that if you're on the line, and which I know many of you still are, so thank you so much for staying with us and keep staying so you can win that prize. If you already know how to book air and insurance and you've been in the industry, you don't need that. I will tell you that the value of the MBA program is worth it for the mentorship alone. And even if you don't need to use your mentor or Meredith for the mechanics of how to make a booking, use that for client attraction and marketing and honing in. And the value of the MBA program, regardless of whether or not you listen to a module and understanding the travel industry, you're here on the line, you're 5 years into the business, you know that already. You could write the module. But the value of the travel MBA program far supersedes the price, and the mentorship is worth, I would even, triple what the actual price is.
So that's what we're going to get to next, and I want to run through this very quickly because I definitely want to make sure we have some time for questions. So the full investment of the program is $2,997. That would be if you pay in full. It's a 12-month program. Or we do have monthly payment options. We have a 6-pay option of $560 per month for 6 months, or a 12-pay option of $280 for 12 months. As a quick comparison, if that seems like a big chunk of money to invest in, what are your other options, quite honestly? You could dump $10,000 on a franchise, you could spend $40,000 on business school, or you go the other route and just, go to a travel industry certification for $500, or just join a host and wing it. Here are some testimonials of people who have been in the program. I'm going to run through these way more quickly than I need to because I really want to get
Believe us,
to
they're good testimonials.
Yeah, they're excellent testimonials. One of them is from John Reese, who, believe it or not, he's been in programs just 12 months, and in the first quarter of this year when we did our sales reports, he was our #1 top seller.
And he had zero travel industry experience, and he completed the MBA program just a couple months ago.
Yep.
And he was the top producer for the first quarter.
And he was top producer for the first
quarter.
So
that was very exciting for us to see.
All right. So, Sandy, we are ready to field some questions.
Okay, thank you. This was absolutely fantastic information. Thank you so much. I feel like we've all been drinking from a fire hose. This is just fantastic.
Yeah, good thing it's recorded. Yeah, good thing it's recorded.
Right. I'll ask you one question because we are getting a little short on time, and get to the prize drawing. But if our agents think of questions or want more information, where can they go to get more information about your program?
Great question, Sandy. So if you want to keep the conversation going with us and you think of a question after, go ahead and email us, info, at giftedtravelnetwork.com. If you would like to email me directly, I would love to hear from you. You're welcome to email me directly as well, just Vanessa, Vanessa, at giftedtravelnetwork.com. If you want to friend me on Facebook, I know I get a lot of private messages. If you can't remember the email, if you want to shoot me a private message and tell me, hey, I was on the webinar, I have a question, can we set up a call? I'd love to hear from you that way too. So those are some great ways to get in touch with us. So info at Gifted Travel Network, Vanessa at Gifted Travel Network, friend me on Facebook, shoot me a message, and we'll keep the conversation going.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for giving out that information. And as promised, Vanessa and Meredith have very generously given us a $50 gift card to give to you. And so let's get to that now. And what's going to happen is that Meredith is going to ask a question about something that they just talked about. And the first correct answer I see come across my screen is the winner. And we will give your name and email address to Meredith and Vanessa, and they will get in touch with you about claiming your gift card. So you have to wait for the question to be asked. And Meredith, go ahead. Go ahead and ask.
All right. Drum roll, please. Are you all ready? Here comes the question. What is the #1 marketing blind spot for travel agency owners?
Okay.
What is the #1 marketing blind spot for travel agency owners?
And we have a winner. The correct answer is list building, and the first correct answer I see on my screen is Selena Jones. So Selena, congratulations. You're the winner.
Good job, Selena.
The gift card, and Meredith and or Vanessa will be in touch with you about claiming your card. So I want to thank our speakers so much. You ladies have just been fantastic. Our speakers today have been the co-founders of the Gifted Travel Network, Meredith Hill and Vanessa McGovern. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you too, Sandy.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you to all of our agents who were on this webinar. I know you got a lot out of this, and that you have news you can use right now, right after you hang up from this call. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.